I'm super excited to be chatting through some really, really helpful content around why you cannot help people who do not want to be helped, and then what to do about it, right? So this is a question that I've so much, and I want to dive into it. And it's also something that I use a lot, so it's really powerful for using in coaching, but also using when you are just chatting with friends or family or close loved ones, people who you really love, and who you want to support, but who may not want to be helped, right? And I'm going to talk to you about what I actually mean by this as well. So if you could just let me know that you can hear me okay over on Facebook, that would be brilliant. So I'm live over on Instagram, hello, at the same time as Facebook, chatting through why you cannot help people who do not want to be helped. We had a bit of a technical issue yesterday with the sound, and I didn't realise until we'd finished that everyone was like, Rebecca, you sound like a robot, what are you? What's going on? So if you're on Facebook with me, if you can just let me know, can you hear me okay? Does my sound normal? And we'll dive in. So we're going to chat through why you cannot help people who do not want to be helped. And as always, I'm Rebecca Lockwood, your neuro-linguistic programming trainer, hypnosis trainer, and breakthrough coach trainer. And I am super excited to chat through this with you, because this is going to really help you in your conversations that you have with your loved ones, your family, your partners, your relationships, and with coaching clients. So Sarah says you can hear me. Okay, brilliant. Okay, so why you cannot help people who do not want to be helped, and what to do about it. So sometimes as a coach, you may find yourself in a situation where your client is really stuck and they're adamant that they cannot move forward. Or this could be a friend or a relative or someone close to you who you're speaking to, and they're just telling you about their problems, but they're not kind of coming up with any solutions. And maybe you're an optimistic, maybe you're a solutions-driven person, and you naturally want to help people, and naturally maybe you're an empath, naturally you want to help people and support them to be able to move forward. So when you find yourself in a conversation with your clients or your friends or your family or close loved ones, or even with yourself, in this situation where you feel like you cannot move forward, and maybe you're not realizing it consciously, but maybe you're not wanting to really be helped. And I'm going to talk to you about how to identify that as well. So when this happens, there are lots of considerations that we need to take into place to help loosen up, what we call loosening up your client's model of the world, or your own model of the world, or the person who you're having this conversation with, so that they then begin, or you then begin, to see opportunities and possibilities to help you come out of this stuck place and be able to move forward. So a couple of weeks ago, in fact it might have been last week, I spoke about what it means to actually break through and how to break through from being stuck. So that would also be a nice resource for you after we've kind of covered this topic here. That would also be helpful for you to understand where someone might be in life when they're stuck in this situation. So you might find yourself at some point being in a conversation with a friend or a relative or someone really close to you, or yourself, and you're telling yourself that you can't do something, but you're feeling like stuck. Or perhaps you're having a conversation with a friend or a relative and they're telling you about why they're stuck in a situation, and you really want to help them to be able to move forward. And maybe you start to give suggestions. Maybe you start to give suggestions to them about why and how they can move forward. And you want to help them from, coming from a place of love and a good place. You want to help them feel more positive. And you give them some suggestions, some positive suggestions that you think may help them. And then they tell you, well, that won't work because X, Y, Z, and that wouldn't work because X, Y, Z. Or perhaps you may find yourself in a conversation with somebody else and they're giving you positive suggestions, and you're saying, well, that won't work because da-da-da-da, or that won't work because of XYZ. I can recall numerous conversations that I've had with my mum that go a bit like this, and my mum will say, well, have you tried this? And I'm like, no, well, that won't work because of this reason. Well, have you tried this? Well, no, that won't work because of this reason. Right? So this can happen to all of us in lots of different situations. So I'm going to talk to you about how you can help yourself with this if it's you that's in that situation. And I'm also going to talk to you about how you can help your clients, and also how you can help friends and family who you're having this conversation with. Okay? Because it feels frustrating, doesn't it, when you want to help someone and they're feeling stuck and they just can't see the possibilities. And sometimes, we find ourselves in these situations and we're knee deep in the problem, and we can't see because of the trees, right? We can't see the wood for the trees. So here are some things to watch out for when you are in a conversation with somebody, or whether it's you that's in the stuck problem. So perhaps they're giving you reasons as to why they're stuck, right? So they're giving you more reasons, and they're giving you reasons rather than giving you or getting results, right? So if somebody's in a stuck state and they're not being able to move forward, a good indication of this is that they're giving you reasons as to why they're stuck. Well, I'm stuck here because of this reason, and this is happening, and that's happening, and because of that I can't move forward, or because of this I can't get that, or I can't do that, or I can't be that, or I can't have that. Yeah, they're telling you stories about why they will remain stuck. They're telling you stories about why they will remain stuck. They're blaming everyone else about their problems, right? They're blaming everyone else for their problems. Well, I'm in this situation because this happened, and I'm in this situation because of that, and I'm in this situation because of that. And they say things like, well, that's just the way it is. That's just the way of the world. That's just the way it is. And that is a massive generalization, right? So we can all find ourselves in these situations. Like, even when we're optimistic and positive people, we can still find ourselves in these situations. So an example from something that happened in my own life is when a couple of months back, it's a bit embarrassing, but it's true and it's very relevant. A couple of months back, in fact, it was last September or something, she's just turned 3, so my 2-year-old at the time we needed to really start laying on with the potty training, right? And at the same sort of time we got a puppy. Now, I kept telling myself these reasons as to why I now couldn't bring the potty to help potty train my little girl downstairs, because we now had a puppy. And I was giving myself all these reasons and telling myself all these stories as to why I couldn't do that, rather than just doing something and getting a result. And I realised what I was doing because my little sister, who doesn't have her own children, she's 2 years younger than me, and she was speaking to me about, she was just chatting to me on WhatsApp. She was like, how are things going? And I was like, yeah, it's good. Just got a bit of a challenge at the moment because I'm having to potty train Renee, and we've now got Cooper, the puppy. And I've started writing this long ass message about why now, because we've got the puppy, we can't bring the potty down the stairs and we can't leave it in the living room. And I got to like a good couple of paragraphs and I read it to myself and I was like, what the heck, Becky? And I just deleted it and I went upstairs and I brought the potty downstairs, and I realised that I was giving myself all these reasons and telling myself these elaborate stories about why I couldn't get a result in that for that outcome. And I realised that I was being at effect and I was being stuck in the problem. Anyway, I brought the potty downstairs, there was no problems, and within a couple of weeks she was potty trained and done and dusted. Okay, so these are the kind of things that we want to look out for when we're looking for ourselves and for our clients or people that we're speaking to if they're being stuck. So here's how to pull this apart a little bit for yourself and when you're working with your clients. So if somebody is at the effect of their problem, what this means is that rather than being at cause and feeling and believing that you can take action and do something about it, often people are at what we call effect. And what this means is that they believe that everything happens to them and they have no control over it. So if your client is at effect of the problem, it means that they're blaming everyone and everything other than themselves, and they don't think of themselves as being the one to get themselves out of the problem. They're kind of depending on something else or someone else to come to the rescue. And at some point, someone may come to the rescue, right? At some points, they may not. But at some point, someone may come to the rescue and they may find themselves in a new relationship. They've built up a new friendship. And this really helps for a short time until perhaps things become comfortable again, or maybe the relationship ends. And then all of a sudden, they're stuck again at the effect of the problems, and they feel like they're at effect and there's nothing that they can do about it because it was them that fixed the problem, and now that they are not there, or things have changed in the relationship perhaps, and then they're at effect of the problem again. Or perhaps they believe that they have no control over their outcomes, right? So most people, unfortunately, live life like this, believing that they have no control over their outcomes in life. And they say things, like I said before, things like, well, that's just the way it is. That's just the way it is. That's just the way of the world. And you'll hear people say things like this. And when people say things like this, they really end up being stuck in a place, and they don't really take much effort in trying to move from this stuck state, from this stuck place. And they may make some effort, but it's not very effective. And if they do make some effort that starts to get a result, they'll then end up sabotaging it with their behaviours. And then they'll say things like, well, see, there was just no point. I knew this would happen all along. I knew there was no point in doing that. I knew it was a waste of time. And they'll say things like this, okay? So when people say things like this is a really good indication that they don't really, at the unconscious level, want to be helped. And I'm also going to talk you through what you can do about this as well. Now, what's happening is what's called the critical faculty, or the critical factor in the brain, is on high alert, and it's not allowing any positive suggestions in. So in your brain, you've got something called the critical faculty, and the critical faculty is the part of the brain that suspends disbelief. Now think about the film Wonder Woman, right? Think about the film Wonder Woman or Superman, right? When we're watching Wonder Woman and Diana is coming up from them trenches and she's flinging them bullets off her cuffs, off her wrists, and she's saying, I am going to save the world. Like, we are there with Diana, right? We are fully and utterly there with Diana. We're immersed in the experience with Diana, and we are rooting for her, like, go on, Diana, like, you're going to save the world. We truly and fully believe in Diana, and we believe that she is going to save the world. And we believe this because we have suspended disbelief, and we have let these suggestions come into our brain. So within that context, we are there rooting for Diana. Now, what happens when we believe that something can't be done, or we, at the unconscious level, don't really want to be helped, or we have a limiting belief that's, for example, I cannot do that, or I'm not good enough to do that, or I'm not worthy to have that, or whatever it is. When we have these limiting beliefs, our critical faculty is on high alert, and any positive suggestions that may come in will just bounce straight off the critical faculty. So if you've ever found yourself in a conversation with a loved one or a client, and they've said things like, oh, I can't do that, and you've said something like, oh, but you're really good at that, or you've given a suggestion or a positive suggestion, and you've then realised that they've said something like, yeah, but no, or they've kind of made some kind of expression that kind of makes you assume or think that they don't really believe what you're saying. What's happening is it's bouncing off the critical faculty, right? Oh, there we go. It's bouncing off the critical faculty. And what happens when we are using coaching, or when we're in a conversation with somebody, is, and this is why you do not give advice in coaching, because if you give advice in coaching, then and this happens, it's just going to bounce off the critical faculty. So for example, if somebody said, I'm not able to I'm not able to sell coaching, right? I'll use this as an example. If somebody said, I'm not able to sell coaching, and I was to say, oh, well, what if you did this? Or what if you did this? Or have you tried this? And they were like, yeah, but it didn't work. Yeah, but it didn't work. And what's happening is it's bouncing off the critical faculty, and it's not going to go in. That suggestion isn't going to go in. And even if it does go in and they start to take some action upon that and then don't get a result, they're going to say things like, oh, well, I knew it wouldn't work anyway. Oh, well, I knew there was no point in doing it. Oh, well, that's just the way it is. That's just the way it's always been. Or I knew there was no point, right? And that's because the critical faculty is on high alert. So, the window cleaner's just got here. Cooper! Sorry about that. The window cleaner's just cleaning the windows and the dog's barking at him now. So what do we actually do about this? Cooper, come here. Come here. I think it scared him. You okay? Sorry, I think the dog got a bit scared then. So what do we actually do about this, right? What do we actually do about this? Whether it's a conversation with ourselves, with our client, or with a loved one who's close to us. So within our Neuro-Linguistic Programming and Breakthrough Coaching program, I teach you how to use some really, really powerful NLP techniques and breakthrough coaching that will really help you to support your clients come to the cause and be at cause for the things in their life and get better results. So there are lots of things that I teach within the program that will really support you to help your clients change their neural networks, change their thinking, and change their beliefs. But here are some things that you can implement straight away. So the first thing is, when you're having a conversation with somebody or you're finding yourself in this situation, instead of giving advice and giving suggestions, what you can do is just ask them to tell you more about the problem. So as they're talking about the situation that they're in, all you need to do is just ask them, okay, can you tell me more about that? Yeah, just tell me a bit more about that. And then you can also ask them, oh, that's interesting. What have you thought about doing so far that'll help you with in this situation? Yes, ask open-ended questions that allow them to come to their own conclusions and come with their own results. So you can just talk through it. Don't give advice, because that will just be rejected. It'll bounce off the critical faculty and it'll be shut down anyway, and it won't go in, okay? And then it could end up shutting down the conversation completely, because perhaps it may make them feel, what's the word I'm looking for? Patronised, yeah? So it might make them feel patronised. Now, the second thing you can do is tell stories. Yeah, use metaphors, tell stories about people who you may know have already got a result from doing something in a similar situation. And what this will do is this will bypass that critical faculty, and the suggestions will be taken at the unconscious mind. So you can do this through telling stories, or you can do this through what we call in neuro-linguistic programming, and I train this in our program. We can do what's called embedded quotes, or a quote within a quote. And this would be something, for example, like, oh, last week I was listening to a podcast with Marie Forleo and Denise Duffield Thomas, and they were talking about getting this result. And she said her auntie said that she did this. Like, who said what? Right? You've got no idea where that suggestion has actually come from. And what that does is it bypasses the critical faculty, because it's not coming from you. It's coming from someone else, who's coming from someone else. Okay, so what that does is that bypasses that critical faculty, and the suggestions are then taken in at the subconscious level. The next thing you can do is just to listen, right? Just to listen, and just listen. And just, nod in agreement and tell me more about that. Yeah, just listen. Okay, so I hope that was helpful for you. There was lots of golden nuggets within there. And what we spoke about was why you cannot help people who do not want to be helped. So if you're catching on to the tail end, I do recommend that you go back and check it out, because there is some really powerful stuff that you can use when you're having conversations with yourself in your own head, when you're having conversations with people that you love to support them and help them, and when you're having conversations with your coaching clients as well. So we do have some amazing bonuses available on our Neuro-Linguistic Programming training when you join us this week. So when you join us before Friday, there are some epic bonuses available, including some business support, some PR, getting some how to get some media coverage and other things like that. So if you're on Instagram with me, you can find the details of that in the link in my bio. And if you're on Facebook with me, you can find the details in the link in the description above. And we also have today at 1 p.m, I'm so excited, we have the Start Your Coaching Business free training today at 1 p.m, where I'm going to be going through the steps that you can take to support yourself, to get all your ducks in a row, to start and grow a successful coaching business. That training is free. If you're on Instagram with me, you can find the link in the bio to sign up. And if you're on Facebook with me, the link is in the description. So if you've got any questions about anything that I've spoken about today, or about the training, or about our NLP practitioner and breakthrough coaching program, just pop me a message. Have an amazing day, and I'll catch up with you soon.